Welcome to the Australian Championship.
Shot up the post and in. Continue to make history.
This rivalry burns as bright as ever.
That is just spectacular. It's incredible. It's very clear.
Good afternoon, everybody. The kickoff to Sunday action in round 5 of the Australian Championship. A date with destiny, potentially for host Preston. If it all finishes well, a second win of the Australian Championship could secure their place in the quarterfinals by the end of the day. That would be at the expense of today's visitors, Canberra, Croatia, who must avoid defeat here to give themselves a chance of running the table next weekend back on home soil against Spirit. And they'll be buoyed by the fact they vanquished today's opponents 2 weeks ago for their only win of this campaign so far. Canberra will be fighting history and Preston's mighty home record as well, though. You can see the setup of the groups, the state of play today in this very tight Group C. Avondale could land the killer blow to Spirit's progression hopes later on today, but a win here would put Preston in the box seat for qualification. For Canberra, 3 points would lift them up into the qualification spots. It would be a remarkable story to sing about if the 11 out on the pitch today are able to bring it to life. It was a remarkable game a few weeks ago at Deakin Stadium between these two. Twice Preston led, twice they were pegged back. And Canberra, Croatia claimed an unlikely victory. You can tell us if you think they'll repeat the trick today. Head to australianchampionship.com.au and click the Game Day tab. Get your thoughts across over the course of the broadcast. Fantastic atmosphere building. Plenty making their way in to Genesis Steel Stadium. Two very passionate fan bases. And we are just going to take a moment's pause as the players come out on the pitch here to remember John Gardner. A player, a leader, true gentleman, whose name will be forever a part of Victorian football history after his passing this week. Winner of the inaugural gold medal for best player in the Victorian competition back in 1971. Repeated the individual triumph a year later. And after his career as a player, John continued his football journey on the sidelines as a successful coach, including as Preston's NSL coach. During the 1990-91 season, remained as part of the club set up into the early 90s. Giant of Victorian football who will be sorely missed. Get ready for those little remembrances to get underway. Both teams just having their photos taken quickly. You can see Jason Romero in the centre there next to Matt Bozanovsky. Will be key today, coming off 2 goals last weekend. Ryan Scott, since coming to this club, has barely been beaten at this ground. Since June, they've conceded just twice on home turf. Haven't lost here since June. Preston Lions, a game against Victoria's eventual champions, Heidelberg United. There's Matthew Kobesha, such a well-known figure around Canberra, Croatia. Brody Merchant is our referee today. Most of his officiating in the New South Wales NPL, flanked by Lance Greenshields and William Samsa today, with Eric Saba, the 4th official. It's a tall task for Dean Ugranic's side today. Haven't won a competitive fixture outside the ACT in the NPL era. They were 3 times runner-up in the New South Wales State League competition in the late 80s and early 90s. And now we're about to observe this minute's silence to remember John Gardner.
He was also the head coach of Preston in the NSL in seasons 1991-1992. Today we honour the late John Gardner.
Big proponent in the early days of women's football in Victoria as well, John Gardner. He will be missed. closely observed minute to remember John Gardner. And now Preston will look to honour him with a victory on their home patch today in front of their raucous fans. Let's take you through the changes quickly. 2 for Luiashevsky. Luke Jago's injury last week means Brandon Lawton takes his place in the centre of midfield. And Adisa Bayu moves out of the squad with Jan Albano coming onto the wing. For Canberra, Croatia, 4 changes for Duin Ugrinic. Nikola Jadric coming in for his second start of the campaign in the heart of midfield. We're expecting to see a diamond 4-4-2. The first look at that from Canberra, Croatia. Jack Cullen switching into the centre of defence alongside Matt Gobesha. Robert Kachenko in at right back. Daniel Colbertaldo, the force 9, behind Shoki Yoshida and Max Green, who returns after scoring a brace against Preston up at Deakin Stadium earlier in the tournament. A big one to watch. Can Canberra, Croatia overcome history and a heavily favoured opponent again today, despite that result back in round 2? Coming off that heavy 4-1 defeat by Avondale on home turf last weekend. It's a chance to put themselves in a position to take it up to some of the big boys in the group. Weren't able to take that opportunity with quite a number of outs, it must be said. Back to a fuller complement today. Grinic will be hoping that the performance matches the personnel that he's put out there this afternoon. For Luiashevsky, shame that he's had to make that enforced change of Luke Jago. Such an unfortunate injury. Glad to hear from him during the week that he's in good spirits. Been such a leader across this football club over their rebuild. Ended very positively at the end of the year, managed to win their way through the first weekend of the finals. Only brought to a halt by Heidelberg United, who've been getting the better of all comers over the course of 2025. Starting on the front foot again here today. Mentioned that terrific record that they have at BT Corner. Most clean sheets in the NPL Victoria, most of them kept by that man, Ryan Scott, since his mid-season signing. 7 clean sheets. His 9 starts in the Victorian competition. So just the one across this campaign so far. He was here a couple of weeks ago on Friday nights against Avondale. Here is Luiashevsky, the longest tenured coach of any team across the Australian Championship. Been in charge since back in 2017. Next closest is Peter Sekenis, who, funnily enough, also led his team through a promotion with the Marconi Stallions. Canberra, Croatia trying to get their foot on the ball. An air swing from Stefan Negro, wearing the captain's armband today. Green darts inside. He's looking for the run in behind. Negro goes direct, looking for the run of Sedenis. And Giorgio Sedenis has got the wrong side of Jack Cullen. It's a free kick, the first of the afternoon for his troubles. There is the man, Jason Romero. Tied second for goals scored in this Australian Championship off the back of the brace last weekend against Spirits. On familiar turf. Plus he played plenty of games down in New South Wales' League One competition, where he spent time with both St George FC and St George City. Quite home comforts for the American, but certainly a form of familiarity. He's trying to play provider with the first set piece of the afternoon. It's a decent ball as well. Almost fell favourably at the back post. And he's having to avoid the Canberra, Croatia staff. Get into a little tangle with Riley Souza. Here's Nikola Jadric. We mentioned the change that Dino Grinic seems to have made in his starting formation today as well. Just give his team a little bit more attacking impetus. Just to control the midfield battle a little better than they've been able to over the last couple of weeks. It's going to ask a lot of Max Green and Shoki Yoshida to cover the wide areas. Go to Besha. Feel that switch is going to be difficult for Green to evade the attentions of Stefan Negro, but he's going about it the right way here, Max Green. Still he goes! And that routine piece of goalkeeping for Ryan Scott to start his afternoon, but he was less than impressed with the amount of distance that Green was able to travel unchallenged. And Preston, who produced by far their best performance of the championship last weekend against Spirit rather. Not starting in quite the same vein here, as Albano tried to walk the tightrope along the touchline. Quite able to keep the ball in play. Making his second start of this Australian Championship. It's a long-time Melbourne Knights player. Sean Albano. Some would think it's an unpopular switch, but he's enjoyed his time here so far. 5 goals in his 25 appearances over the Victorian League season. Not a bad return for a wide player and a team that didn't score a whole lot over the Victorian NPL season. Mentioned their defensive record. It was very much a concerted effort to keep themselves defensively stout. Whitehead. So they won't look to press too high until they sort of reach this middle third of the field. So that's a fairly sloppy turnover from Souza. Lovely bit of skill from Romero. Knocks the ball wide to Brooks. So for Lawton and now Negro. Lawton getting the start in unfortunate circumstances, but keen to make the most of his opportunity. South African-born midfielder. He's got a couple of brothers playing their trade up in Queensland at the moment. Brother Jordan is with the Brisbane Roar. Leighton is part of the Brisbane City team that made quite a run through the Australia Cup earlier this year. It's another poor turn. Canberra, Croatia really struggling to play out of their own half at the minute. Yardrich just erring, and it's given Albano something to run for. The delivery too close to Sebastian Arans. Set to go and link up with the Sutherland Sharks, where he had his trade a couple of seasons ago. Again at the end of this Australian Championship. Canberra native has been keen to be part of it with one of his hometown clubs. Here's Max Green, another former Sharks charge. Coblotalo's got a bit of room on the edge of the box. Couldn't get the shot away. Yardrich. Oh, he's trying to pick out Souza at the back post. It wasn't a bad idea either. It's been an enterprising start from Canberra, Croatia, and you can hear the Croatian community, which has followed them around the country for this tournament, making their voices heard. See that beautiful pick out from Yardrich. And Souza was not tracked. It had never really looked like troubling Ryan Scott. Bozanovsky, a little error in his touch. He named in the team of the week a couple of weeks ago off the back of the clean sheet against Avondale. Again, Preston felt they had enough chances to win. It's funnily, Jason Romero turned 2 of them up that day. Their last game at this ground. To be a little more lethal this afternoon. Got to make sure they take advantage of these transition moments. Lawton trying to measure his ball for Albano. The 2 changes for Lujačevski today. Little settling ball inside for Oli Kubele. It's a big coup when they picked him up from the Oakley Cannons after 2 premiership campaigns with that club. It's an ever-present for Luyashevsky in the heart of midfield this season. Yoshida is trying to make his way past Don Folino. We've seen that all before. Hoping to get on the score sheet again today, Don Folino. Only goal of the 2025 campaign came in the elimination final against Oakley. Kind of a boisterous atmosphere that night. Dissimilar to what we're hearing here, although active fan bases are providing the soundtrack. The rest of the crowd's been a little muted in the opening 10 minutes. What a healthy turnout here at Genesee Steel Stadium. They've made such an impression on the national conversation, really, haven't they, Preston, with the crowds that they've been drawing through their ascension through the leagues. Part of it's been because of the football they've been playing and the talent like Jason Romero that they boast. Albano, a sloppy bit of play, really, from the winger. Didn't check his run. Was caught in an offside position by our experienced assistant today, Lance Greenshields. Familiar face to plenty of A-League watchers and those who've been watching Australian football for a long time. First moment of promise goes begging for Preston. Cullen with a change in his role again today. He did start at different times as a centre-half for Dino Granic over the course of the season, but he's been used almost exclusively as a fullback in this Australian Championship so far. It was a cheap turnover. Negro's ball in, almost reaching the head of Gian Albano. Not able to knock it goalwards, and Robert Tkachenko has stayed down behind play here. His debut for the club in the first round against Avondale. And just see, it was a bit of friendly fire. Might have copped a little bit of a shove in the back from Albano, and then clattering into the elbow of Matthew Gerbecha. And that's not something you'd wish on your worst enemy. 38-year-old central defender is as solid as they come. Preston not quite dipping into the market as deeply as some of their Victorian counterparts over the short break between the end of the NPL Victoria season and the start of this championship, but I'm happy to trust in what has been there. Again, another uncompromising challenge. This time it was Bright Cullen diving over the top, and Brody Merchant was having a think about stopping play. He still hasn't, now he does. So Dennis this time. Man down, getting a whack in the back of the head. It's a strong boy, Sir Dennis. Only 8 starts over the course of the regular season. It's been used more regularly off the bench by Luyashevsky in his 2 seasons at the club. Trusted with the grunt work up front today again. After starting last week against Spirit, rave reviews. It's been a stop-start first 13 minutes or so. Promising moments for both teams, but neither have gone with caution to the winds, as Merchant's whistle was belated, but he eventually arrived. Michael Piccolo going into a promising area for the first time today. Someone familiar with Victorian football. Spent time with the Melbourne Knights down in this competition. Down in the NPL Victoria, I should say. You see, just bundled over there by Don Folino. Not his tidiest challenge yet. Max Green drawing close attention for good reason. Shandon Whitehead gets ready to launch this ball into the box. Cool conditions again here in Melbourne today. That ball too close to Scott, although there was a fairly firm coming together between Jake Trajovski and Parate Cullen. Trajovski got himself the wrong sides, but the ball being so close to his goalkeeper might have bailed him out of it. A little further trouble. See that ball holding up in the wind as it travelled towards Stefan Negro. Done well to take the ball on. All more in hope than anticipation for Sir Dennis to chase, though. Bright Cullen to build things up for Canberra, Croatia. Only opened the scoring once in this tournament so far. That was against Spirits back in round number 3. Took the leads after 3 minutes through Shandon Whitehead before eventually being pegged back to fall by 2-1. Nice little change of circumstance for them today. They have started this game very brightly indeed. Sousa's been key down the left. This ball in for Colbertaldo, who lines up. The touch made it a little trickier for Scott. It was an inventive effort from Michael Piccolo, who anticipated the ball being driven towards him. Just managed to toe it wider with Scott's initial starting position. Goalkeeper's seen all that before. Able to correct. Veteran of 67 A-League appearances over stints with Western United and the Newcastle Jets. Mid-season signing for Lujashevski. He's taken the first choice position off Lucas Trenkovski, who wasn't having a bad year by any stretch. It has just provided Preston an added measure of defensive stability with his leadership from the back. You see the touch almost wrong-footed him, but it was well set. Sigo Becher just getting himself in a bit of a tangle here. Almost offering Sir Dennis a path towards goal. It didn't quite eventuate. Mentioned the Croatian supporters have made their way out in good number to Genes Still Stadium. Position down behind the goal of Sebastian Arans. No doubt Ryan Scott will be exchanging a few pleasantries over the course of the second half today. Even if the exchange is rather one-sided. Radric just flicking anything towards it to get it forwards. Negro through Max Green, fairly, said referee Merchant. Green stayed down, but his team's keen to continue attacking without him. Kachenko losing control at the vital moment. Heard the shout from Canberra, Croatia coaching staff towards Max Green. He's such a key for them. Clever touch to win the ball back for Preston from Kubelet. Orton couldn't get them going forward, and now Kachenko's got space to explore down the right. Piccolo, such a tidy footballer. Doesn't make too many mistakes through the heart of Canberra, Croatia's midfield. Gardner for Parate Cullen. Whitehead. He tried to unpick the lock. It's a promising ball. Sousa's in an attacking position again. What a start to this game he's had. The 18-year-old from fairly good stock. They've got him here. He was a Tuggeranong junior. 18 appearances over the course of the Capital NPL season. I think it's fair to describe him as a bit of a fringe player, though. An Australian schoolboy, the under-16s level a couple of years ago. And Preston a little sleepy from the corner, which has allowed Sousa forward again. Still might fall to a promising area for Green. Trying to wriggle his way free from the attentions of Negro, and this might fall very nicely. What a save from Scott. Pariah Cullen prodding it towards goal, and Preston's goalkeeper is less than impressed with what he's seeing in front of him. A strong right hand to prevent the hosts from going behind early here. Romero just sticking it up in the air. It almost fell for their centre half. The corner is taken towards the front post. Still, Preston can't get out of their own area. Colbertaldo. Rather easier clearance for Bozanovsky on this occasion. And now there could be a chance for Preston to go in transition with Sir Dennis. Good release ball for Albano. In fact, it was a step or two too far in front, and then Sir Dennis goes flying through Katchenko. And that's going to, well, reward him with the first booking of the afternoon. Showed such enterprise to break free of Canberra, Croatia's attentions. Then flew into the challenge very recklessly. A striker's tackle indeed. You can hear a couple of the frustrated shouts coming from the crowd about the start their side have made today. It's not quite going to script in the opening 20 minutes. It hasn't quelled the voice of the Preston boys by any stretch. Trying to give their side some energy. It has all looked rather sluggish to start this game. And Dino Granic, who's been a fan of half-time substitutions, won't be thinking about any of those at the moment. Quarter of the way through this game, his team have started right as he would have liked. Canberra, Croatia, such a club of history. Spoke about they wanted to take this competition on, as we see the challenge again, which has left Robert Katchenko a little worse for wear. It's a signing from the Monaro Panthers between the end of the Capital NPL season and the start of this Australian Championship. It's been a handy addition. It's given them the freedom to move Pariah Cullen around the back line as has been needed, as they've done today. Croatia were the premiers. They were knocked out of the finals in Canberra in straight sets. They're missing a number of players through that finals run. It wasn't much of a run in the end. They are 26 times premiers of the Capital Football competition, 18 times champions. Came close to winning the New South Wales competition when they were part of it in the late 80s and early 90s. Club embedded in its community, much as Preston is. This plays pass from Leighton Brooks, who has barely been sighted in the opening quarter of this game. Stefan Negro trying to drive his team on. It's an acknowledgement they're not showing the required intensity at the moment. It's being pounced upon by their visitors. They've looked right up for the fight, and again they must not lose today. A win would be the sweetest. It would leave them in with a chance of qualifying for the quarterfinals, even with a loss against Avondale next weekend, should the result go the right way between Avondale and Spirit later today. For Preston, a point will hold their position for now, but they know there's a chance that Spirit claim all three at Avenger Park later today as well. This group has been the tightest of the championship. All four clubs right in the mix to progress to the quarterfinals. This is made for such fascinating viewing week on week. Daniel Colbertaldo, very much the heart and soul of Canberra's midfield. Going down under Lawton's challenge. Took him in the air as well, which never makes things particularly comfortable. He's got to be careful he doesn't run himself into a cul-de-sac. Whitehead comes across and bails him out. Kachenko, who's back and looking as though he's moving fairly freely. Piccolo interchanging passes with Shoki. Japanese import, who's another one who's been signed in the break between the end of the NPL season and the start of the Australian Championship from the now defunct Gungahlin United. It's a disappointing story that's developed down in Canberra over the last 3 or 4 weeks. Albano, who's been throwing himself about. Right in front of the Preston supporters who are looking for something to latch onto. Atmosphere that was building brilliantly before kickoff has just become a little nervy as the opening 25 minutes of this game have played out. Tchaikovsky is looking for options in front of him. Canberra, Croatia have been disciplined in this new formation they're trying out today. It's worked them into some promising areas to this point. Suswa doing a tidy job defensively this time. Negro. Lawton. Took a deflection off Bright Cullen, and then Sedenis is pinged for a push in the back of Matthew Gobesha. Must have been a pretty firm one. Took something pretty strong to dislodge him from his feet. Right through his back. Leader of this club, Matthew Gobesha, more than 300 appearances for Canberra, Croatia, a family tradition as well. And his father playing for the first team as well. Now he's trying to lead through this new generation of Canberra, Croatia players who've shown plenty of stomach for the fight in this Australian Championship campaign. Bright Cullen. Didn't quite slide it through a couple of Preston defensive lines. Another sloppy touch playing out of their own end, and this right might end quite disastrously. Piccolo just hesitating over the correct ball to play. Gringo sliding in. And the scrappiness of this contest continues as we approach the half-hour mark. A most uncharacteristic touch from Oli Kubalek, who got himself and his team in a right mess. Plenty for Louis Ashevsky to ponder. They have looked a fair way short of the mark they set last weekend against Spirit. Took the lead against the run of play in that game. They've been right on the back foot again here. Shoki Yoshida, and it's Piccolo, just the wrong side of the post. Took a deflection on the way through as well. But those supporters have had plenty to sing about. First real chance we've had to see Shoki Yoshida run with the ball, brought back into the starting lineup by Coach Ugrinic today, and it creates the opportunity for Michael Piccolo. Crucial block, hoisted away by Tchaikovsky. Not the nicest touch from Shuswa, and it's given Brooks some space to run into. Not too much support with him, so he might have to do it all himself. Gobesha well positioned. Brooks looking to keep this attack alive. And Preston gets something to go with into the closing moments of this first half. Romero. It's been well marshalled so far. Yoshida lending a hand. There was a chance to play that ball to the top of the box from Albano for Negro. And now Max Green is going to try and explore that vacant left wing. Whitehead furthest forwards. Good recovering run from Negro. Just halts the momentum of that Canberra Croatia attack. Colbertaldo. Happy to keep possession, stroking it around pretty confidently at times, the visitors. The only reason there's a hint of surprise in my voice is because Preston was so bright to start the game down at Deakin. So they went on to lose, but it was a second half turnaround that Canberra Croatia sparked that day. This time the narrative has been flipped quite convincingly on its head. More prompting and probing, which is eventually brought to a halt. Preston, we know, are a team that are comfortable playing without the football, but probably having quite a bit less of it than they expected to in this opening half hour. Lawton. Negro. Good challenge from Pariah Cullen, and the half appeals for a free kick never came. Conversely, Tom Foligno straight through the back of Shockey, who wins Canberra Croatia the free kick. And there's still protests going on from the supporters about the heap that Jack Pariah Cullen left Giorgio Sedanis in. The referee Merchant said there was enough ball. There certainly was no ball in that secondary challenge. It's given Canberra another chance to try and build up in Preston's half. They make rather lesser go of it this time. Nikola Jadric, cultured ball player. Again, another one like Souza, who hasn't been an ever-present for Dejan Ugrinic this season, but has acquitted himself very well. His first start to this Australian Championship since the round one clash against Avondale. Well, he fell at Avenger Park, but made a very good game of that one as well. Gardner getting back to sweep up as Brooks made his first run really off the right flank that we've seen this afternoon. This game just waiting for its flashpoint. Whether that be a goal or a big moment. This time Foligno asks how on earth he could have been offside, but just kept going forwards, I think is the answer that Brodie Merchant's given him. See him just stepping ahead of Canberra Croatia's defensive line there. Simple as that. Who will be the team or the player to give this game its spark? Canberra Croatia have been solid in the first half hour, but they haven't been able to test Ryan Scott beyond the set piece that fell to the feet of Jack Pariah Cullen. He stabbed goalwards and it was turned away by the Preston Gloveman on about 20 minutes. That is the clearest chance we've had to either team today so far. Colbertaldo for Piccolo. There's been some nice little exchanges of passing between the midfield four of Ugrinic today. That one wasn't quite as tidy, and Colbertaldo's challenge probably followed in that vein. Kubelay's ball forward. This is more promising for Preston, with Negro in an overlapping position. Souza across to meet him. How's the cross? Only as far as Katchenko. Still might fall for Brooks. Too many black shirts in front of him. And Whitehead can run the ball clear of danger. Lovely little 1-2 with Colbertaldo. And he likes these positions, Shannon Whitehead. We saw it a couple of weeks ago against Spirits. Couldn't quite add a second goal to his name. Not quite enough support forward with him. Shoki Yoshida, really the only one in frame, wasn't he? Sloppy ball from Lawton. Follow-up is rather more proficient. Chance for Gian Albano. He's done nicely on the first attempt to beat Tkachenko. Gerbesha over in cover again. Missed kicks galore from both sides. Ball's fallen in Preston's favour. It's Kubele. Looks quite comfortable with the pace of the game at the moment. Want to insert some more speed and pace into these attacks. Wide to Negro. Kubele. Still looking sideways rather than forwards. Strakovski for Lawton. He'll try the left wing this time. Albano. Lovely little step over. Gian Albano. Well, that was better from a Preston perspective. Switching the ball quickly from one side to the other. And Albano, who has looked as though the bit's between his teeth today. Offered the chance in the starting lineup. Beautiful swivel of the hips. Just not quite able to keep his effort on target. And Tkachenko, amongst all of that, has returned to the deck, unfortunately. Don't think he's going to be able to continue. This is the second time we've seen him down for treatment. It's the first time running into the elbow of his skipper, Matt Gerbesha. See Luiasevski, who's cutting a rather frustrated figure at this point in the game. So we have an impromptu drinks break. Tkachenko continues to receive treatment. Preston yet to be beaten or win a game on home turf so far in this Australian Championship. 2 draws in their first 2 fixtures. First on the opening day against Spirit FC. Caught by a 93rd minute equaliser from substitute Caleb Jackson-Brown that day. And a 0-0 draw on Friday night a couple of weeks ago against Avondale. Tkachenko's going to continue testing out that left knee. Interesting to see who they go to. Niki Subasic is the central defensive option that could see Tariq Cullen move out onto that right flank for Dean Ugranic, but I think he'd be pretty keen to keep him in the heart of defence the way he started this game. Shannon Whitehead's also got a history as a defender. You can see him slotting in as the right fullback for the closing stages of this half. He's not keen to do anything too tidy, just hoisting the ball down the other end. Heard the cry from the Preston bench, move the football. They do to the left eventually. Foligno. It's just letting Luiasevski provide the co-commentary at the moment. Bozanovski. Clipped ball over the top. It holds up for Negro. His delivery is deep. It's an awkward one for Arans. It didn't quite clear his lines. Albano was close in attention, now battling with Whitehead. Still, it might fall for Preston eventually. Canberra, Croatia standing right back, clears the danger. Kubele trying to keep the pressure on. This has been Preston's best period of the first half. Sedenis! Very good reaction save from Sebastian Arans. Such a superb strike from Sedenis. Took the ball on his chest beautifully, and it's David Cecilia who's going to be the replacement for Tkachenko, a like-for-like change at right back. But how about this for an effort? Stinging drive from Sedenis, which took some stopping. Arans was up to the challenge. No follow-up set piece. Brighter signs for Preston. under gloomy skies. And an effort which flashed across the face of goal. Kubile doesn't score too many. Perhaps you saw why with that strike. Holding midfielder in the purest sense. About the only opportunities he gets. Scraps from set pieces. Sebastian Arantz has stood up to his first tall task of the afternoon. Canberra, Croatia trying to provide a test of their own down the other end. Orton game defensively to chase down Michael Piccolo. Terrific challenge laid in there. Not forward to anyone in black. And this period of the last 10 minutes has just given Preston some comfort. It's meant that Canberra, Croatia's had to retreat back into their shape a little more than was the case in the opening half hour. There's a bit of their attacking threat has subsided. Love a goal to follow the hosts. Just to give their fans a little bit of energy heading into half-time. See, Shoki Yoshida has come over to this left-hand side, flipping flanks with Max Green. Don't mean too much unless they can get some ball in attacking areas. Tchaikovsky looking at it, enterprising run of his own. Deflection from Albano's cross. Gardner couldn't keep it from going behind. So Preston beginning to build pressure through set pieces now. Albano's had a fine start to this game. Brought back in for Adisabayu. Fit enough for the squad today. Romero entrusted with a set piece. Curling it direct. Arantz right on his line. Punching in front of Sir Dennis. Another tidy piece of goalkeeping. It all looked a bit frantic, but Arantz was alive to the danger. See, with the winds blowing in towards him, it was worth an effort. So Dennis wasn't too far away from getting the telling touch. Just 2 goals over the 2025 campaign for Giorgio Sedenis. Yet to score in this championship. Lawton eventually getting his head up. Negro. Can Sedenis provide something creative in a wide area now? Sousa times the challenge beautifully. And Yoshida was trying to fashion a throw, and he's managed to do just that. And in front of fourth official, Eric Sava. Call comes from the Preston bench for them to go. Leighton Brooks leading the charge. Arantz clearing the danger. Let's provide them one last attacking opportunity of the first half. Foligno. There's going to be too much time added on at the end of this first half. It's another Preston corner from that far touchline. Well, Foligno's starting to get himself involved in the game as well. That's a more promising sign for Lujashevski. All 3 of those corners you can see Preston have earned in this first half have come in the last 10 minutes. Romero went very close to scoring direct. This time it's a deep option towards Tchaikovsky. Not the cleanest clearance from Piccolo. Preston probably won't want the half-time whistle to come now. After having such a sluggish start, they've gone some way to finding their attacking rhythm. So Dennis winning them another set piece. It's not been particularly intricate or prolifically beautiful, but it's been brutally effective the way that Preston have managed to almost belt themselves forward through sheer force of will towards the end of the first half. Romero's come to the near side to deliver what might be the final corner of the first half. Gardner ahead of everybody. Had the cross best. So what will be the development of the narrative in this game? It's been a funny old first half. It started with both teams really flying out of the blocks. Then Canberra, Croatia settled best. Preston really did look sloppy in some of their use of the ball over the opening half hour, but it's started to come together. Will that momentum be interrupted by Brodie Merchant's half-time whistle? We've got 3 more minutes to try and break the deadlock before half-time. Brooks is coming over to the left-hand side. Gardner marshalling him nicely. 38-year-old and tried to get a little too clever. Say the same of Romero as he lost his balance. Oh, well, that was uncompromising in the fullest, as Max Green is keen to have a word with Jake Tchaikovsky about just how physical he was with Daniel Colbertaldo there. He was not about to let him turn under any circumstances. Now offers a hand-in apology to his fallen opponent. Actually hearing a laugh on halfway. Wish I had the patience of Daniel Colbertaldo. I can tell you that much. Screams for the benches, getting more and more desperate as we close in on half-time. I think there's going to be some impassioned words shared between both coaches and their players come the break. Might ease up if they can find the first goal of this game. Dejan Ugrinic on his Canberra, Croatia side. Sousa's ball hoisted away by Bozanovski. Jardric tidying up. It's a return ball from Gardner in a promising area as well. They've got numbers here, Canberra, Croatia. Piccolo. Wide for Shoki, who's got the better of Nigo. And Shoki Yoshida couldn't finish it off. Another chance developed down that left-hand side for Canberra, Croatia. Gorgeous touch initially from Shoki Yoshida, and then blazing away wildly. And I don't think they're going to get too many better opportunities than that today. The visitors. Was well worked by Jardric. It's exactly as Dejan Ugrinic would have drawn it up before the game, playing through that heavy midfield he's named today. Before in there have done a very reasonable job of holding up any progress that Preston might have been able to make through the centre of the field. And then developing opportunities for their own attacking players with nice little interchanges like that. To say Green and Yoshida, rather, whoever has come down this left-hand side has spawned fruit. Albano might be able to create something down the other end. Very good save from Arantz. Not for the first time towards the end of this 45 minutes, which ends end-to-end in vast contrast to its majority, which saw both teams really struggle to get into their groove. Eventually, Canberra, Croatia managed to do so. But then Gian Albano, who has been at the heart of everything good Preston have done in an attacking sense, forces a last-minute save from Sebastian Arantz, who saved sharply as well from Giorgio Sidenis towards the end of that first half. Ryan Scott made the biggest save of all, perhaps, after 20 minutes. Both teams have had their chances, have been few and far between over the course of the first 45 minutes at Geneseo Stadium. At the break, Preston 0, Canberra, Croatia 0.
The loudest noise in the Australian Championship is coming from a Lions roar. Preston Lions are the team for the big occasion. The crowds, the spectacle, the rivalries.
I haven't been this excited for a football game in this country for years.
But it wasn't as simple as just turning up. A little over a decade ago, Preston were at risk of losing their club, consigning 13 years in the NSL and 4 Victorian championships to the history books. So a community rallied, and the team responded on the pitch by winning.
And it's Matty Whelan! Preston win it in the final minute!
All the way back to NPL Victoria, where acquaintances were renewed with old foes.
Oh, how about that? The Paninka on the biggest stage of all.
Preston haven't played on the national stage since 1993. You don't want to miss their return in the Australian Championship. Can Canberra, Croatia shock the nation? They're peerless in capital football. 26 premierships, 18 championships, 20 Federation Cups, daylight second. But the runaway ACT premiers have 0 wins and 6 losses when taking on the States in NPL national finals matches and Australia Cup ties. There's no doubt this club has a spirit of adventure to test itself beyond territory borders.
Canberra, Croatia have battled to gain National League status in recent years, and the club is setting itself to move into Australia's #1 soccer competition.
They were twice runners-up in New South Wales Division 1 in 1989 and 90, and have finished on the podium at the Croatian World Club Championship. But now comes the challenge for this regional powerhouse to make a breakthrough in the Australian Championship.
Football's back home. It'll be great to be on SBS again.
It's going to definitely give the Australian Championship a massive, massive platform.
You're not just showcasing yourself on YouTube or anything anymore. It's SBS, it's massive.
It's great that it's going to be live free there. It's great exposure.
Every player want to be in TV, and I think that's really good for the people in Australia.
Now I can tell all my siblings I just tell them to turn on SBS and watch me there.
It's the best thing to happen to football in Australia in a very long time.
It's integral to all these clubs and fans and players to have the games broadcasted live.
That's where you want to be on free-to-air. It's SBS. Everyone watches it.
To have football back on, I guess, the main stage of where it all started, it's exciting. It's a great opportunity for the whole of Australia to watch.
You never know what's going to happen.
We just hope that we can do this code proud.
For every football lover in Australia, you know, when you hear the SBS, you think about football.
I grew up with watching the World Game on SBS.
On Sunday from first thing in the morning. All day football.
I was an avid follower of the Captain Socceroo with Johnny Warren.
Craig Foster, Les Murray days, you can't forget it.
All the iconic moments in football have been on SBS.
SBS was the home of football, so it's great that we're back there.
Welcome to half-time here at Jenna Steele Stadium. Still waiting for the deadlock to be broken in Melbourne's north. Both teams have given it a good crack. Canberra, Croatia actually coming closest in the early stages, as you can see from this well-drawn-up set-piece routine. Ollie Sousa taking it short from Daniel Colbertaldo. And then, as the scraps fell, a ball in that wasn't properly cleared by Preston. And Bright Cullen forcing a very athletic save indeed from the Preston gloveman, Brian Scott, trying to keep his 9th clean sheet in just 12 appearances as the Preston goalkeeper. Sebastian Arantz with an athletic piece of work himself from Giorgio Sedenis' close-range volley. And it was followed up by a Jason Romero corner, which almost found its way in for an Olympico. Another strong intervention from Canberra, Croatia goalkeeper. And then 2 chances in stoppage time. Shoki Yoshida getting the better of Stefan Negro, not able to fire his shot on target. And then Gian Albano forcing a very good save again from Arantz. He's putting his hand up as one of the players of the match so far. You see the statistics there, and belie the fact that Canberra, Croatia, or support the fact, I should say, that Canberra, Croatia have looked the better team for the majority of the first half. 3 shots on target to 1. Those corners that Preston got, all 4 of them coming in a flurry towards the end of the first half. The whistle being blown against the visitors a little more frequently than Preston. Has had an underlying physicality to it this first half. Getting ready as... Let's have a look back at some of the highlights as some of the Preston old boys are brought back to the club today. This was Friday night out at Adenza Park. 2 New South Wales clubs clashing on the creative wares. Genius of Saya Kambiashi opening the scoring that night. The equaliser came from Sebastian Krislovic, which gave United a sniff, but then a rare error from Vedran Janjatovic fell to the feet of Drayden Kelly, who has become a goal-scoring beast. 2 in the final series, 2 in this Australian Championship in back-to-back weeks. What a story of heartbreak it was yesterday at Jubilee Stadium for Sydney Olympic, who looked to have the game wrapped up early in the second half. See that goal, which gave Moreton City a route back into the game. Gorgeous left-footed straight, which curled past Jack Gibson. And late on, having taken the 3-1 lead, Tenqual's handball saw the penalty blown. And Moreton City with just a sniff, and this point is going to keep them right in with a shot and qualifying for the quarterfinals. A 3-point gap between they and Olympic on the back of that result heading into the final weekend. It was business as usual for South Melbourne, who are the only team with a 100% record through 5 rounds of this Australian Championship. A 2-0 win over Broadmeadow Magic, which has kept them top of Group A and means they will be hosting a quarterfinal in 2 weeks' time. Jordan Lampard with his 3rd goal of the championship from left full back to seal the points on a soggy day in Melbourne. We've had brighter weather here. That Group A ladder is important for these teams in Group C. South Melbourne will be playing the 2nd place finisher of this group, and it's looking as though Moreton City Excelsior will be travelling wherever the team top of the table will be hosting their quarterfinal. That's how he sits on the live ladder. If this game ends all square, Preston will take a point advantage over Spirit heading into their game against Avondale this afternoon. The first game between they and Spirit finished in a quite thrilling 3-3 draw at Christie Park. Win for Canberra, Croatia would take them right up the table. You can see the results. We took you through those first 3. Live around the grounds action as well. Anton Mlinaric has given Marconi a 1-0 lead down at Darcy Street over South Hobart. Alex Masio Vecchio breaking the deadlock for Wollongong after just 3 minutes before Marcus Humbert found an equaliser on 15 minutes. Leaves Heidelberg and Wollongong level at a goal apiece. See the Preston Lion out there getting involved with the supporters. We will be back very shortly for the second half of this Australian Championship clash, round 5 at Jenna Steele Stadium. Still looking for its first goal. Will it come in the next 45 minutes? We'll have to stick around and find out.
fouls is strictly prohibited, and any offenders caught will result in your immediate eviction from the venue, with the long term being by the club. Thank you.
Welcome back to Jenner Steel Stadium, round 5 of the Australian Championship, about to get this second half underway between Preston Lions and Canberra, Croatia. It was the visitors who actually created the better of the opportunities in the opening stages of the first half, but Preston came with a late flurry and forced the Canberra, Croatia goalkeeper Sebastian Arans into a number of very fine saves. The type of player this championship was designed to bring to the fore. Canberra Junior, the 20-year-old, he's been a coach and a referee down in that area of Australia as well. And a treble of very impressive saves. This is the last one of the first half, last action really from Gian Albano's efforts, which has kept his team level. Not the form of both he and Ryan Scott in Preston's net. This game's complexion would look very different indeed. He spent time in Sydney with the Sutherland Sharks a couple of seasons ago, is set to return there under new coach David Perkovic, showing us just why they were so keen to get their hands back on him. Michael Piccolo's been impressive as well, the signing from the Melbourne Knights earlier in the year. 4 goals from midfield for Canberra, Croatia's number 21 during the capital football season. I'd love to add his name to the score sheet for the first time in this Australian Championship. But there's going to be a fair bit of defensive work for Canberra to get through in this second half. With a win, they could still put themselves in pole position for qualification to the quarterfinals. An uphill battle indeed, but they've shown that they're right up for the fight with their first half performance. Second half underway. Preston in their traditional all-red home strip, kicking from right to left in this second half. And they're going to be aware of the pace of Max Green. They're all too aware of the danger he offers, alongside Bozanovski, who got there in the nick of time. And just a warning shot fired across the bow of the hosts again. Their only loss of this campaign came against this opposition back in round 2. Keen for history not to repeat itself today. They've had a couple of opportunities go against them as Whitehead really left in a very firm challenge, which Brodie Merchant was keen to play advantage with, but I think Shannon Whitehead is going to find himself in the book here. It was late on Giorgio Sedenis, and the yellow card is out of Brodie Merchant's pocket. There's more than a few supporters suggesting that the card should be a different colour. Yellow card has been shown to the Canberra, Croatia midfielder. First booking handed out to the visitors today. So Dennis is actually the receiver of the only other one that Brodie Merchant has shown today. Get another look at that challenge. It was late and rather reckless from the Canberra, Croatia holding midfielder. You see, he wasn't too worried on whether he got the ball or not. Making the correct decision. Hopefully Sedenis not too worse for wear on the end of that. Provided a couple of good moments, a stunning volley which almost beat Arans, and Whitehead probably saved by the fact that challenge landed on the top of the striker's foot rather than any higher, up around the ankle or the shin. So Dennis is returning to his feet a little bit gingerly. Probably the most frustrating thing for Preston out of all of that is the fact that they weren't able to make use of the opportunity that befell them because of the ball's progression for Albano. As Besha goes down under the challenge of Leighton Brooks. There's a wry smile, I should say. No changes from either gaffer at half-time, which has actually been the exception rather than the rule for Dean Ugrinic through this Australian Championship. Made a treble of substitutions at the break last weekend against Avondale. Did have to make the change in the first half. Robert Kutchenko not able to shake off a bit of a knee niggle that had befallen him. So David Cecilia, and you just saw take that early throw. Has been brought on as Canberra, Croatia's right fullback. Having to try and keep in check Gian Albano, who's had a very fine first 45 minutes down that left touchline. Just a very good save out of Aran's late. We showed you during the halftime interval. This is the pattern of play we saw towards the end of the first half, with Canberra sitting further and further into their shape, allowing Preston a little bit more of the football than they saw in the opening half hour. Need the likes of Lawton and Kubele to try and find a few more incisive passes, like that one from Stefan Negro. Shoki Yoshida's got the better of him again, though. Making charge towards Canberra's attacking half. Switch of play for Green falls short of the mark. Kubele worked off it by Piccolo. Lawton coming to help out his midfield partner. See Canberra quite happy to let Preston have the ball in their own half, only starting the press once they reach that middle third. So Dennis got the better of Sousa initially and then goes down under the challenge. All was clean, said the referee. Attack develops to naught. We'll see how. Who do you think will win, Paul? Preston leading that expectedly. You can have your vote now by scanning the QR code or heading to australianchampionship.com.au. Second game from this group. That poll is up for grabs now as well, between Avondale and Spirit, kicking off at 4:30. So down in Melbourne at Avenger Park. Metro Stars and Bayswater, the other 4:30 kickoff this afternoon. To complete the slate of 8 fixtures on the 5th weekend of the Australian Championship. Besha back to Arans. Been fairly cool playing out from their own half when they've been asked, Canberra, Croatia. Besha just with a little error there, which has allowed Lawton in. Exploring space down the touchline. Cecilia did nicely. Can Green be the star again against Preston after the brace he got back in round 2? Negro. Bozanovsky. Romero actually seems to be a slightly more attacking position to start this second half. It's been the support to Sedenis, but it looks as though Brooks has come more central to start this second half. Trying to get him a little bit more involved in the game. His influence has been only fleeting. Kubele's sureness of touch playing forward has not quite been at the level it usually is today. The things that Lujačevski would have addressed at the break should have quite found their way out of the little rut that they'd fallen into in the very opening stages of this game. Negro. To get that ball back off Sedenis, but Shoki Yoshida was watchful in his defensive duties. Lawton again, screening in front of his back line. Brooks looking to play link up. Can Lawton get there ahead of Pryke Cullen? Well-timed challenge from the young Canberra, Croatia centre-back. Kubele keeps the attack alive. Brooks has got the pace to keep it in, not quite. Another of this Preston team with a little bit of A-League experience, with Melbourne victory, 31 appearances between 2020 and 2023. First change of this second half coming on Canberra, Croatia's side of things as Shandon Whitehead sees his afternoon brought to a close. Kikin Vucetic, a more attacking player. Got the late goal consolation against Avondale last weekend, his first Australian Championship strike. Can he repeat the trick here again today? It's actually his 23rd birthday tomorrow. Here's Foligno. Oh, gorgeous touch from Albano. Got the better of Gerbesha. And Foligno's continued his run forward. Big chance here for Preston. Foligno couldn't find the ball required. Both sets of supporters have found their voice at the start of the second half. How about this from Gian Albano? Gorgeous touch. Straight through the legs of Canberra's experienced centre-back. Lawton. Preston have come with renewed vigour at the start of the second half. Albano eventually brought to ground by Gerbesha. As though he was searching for the contact, it did come. Clash of knees. They have not been able to get a handle on him all afternoon. Katchenko had his hands full. And this time Gerbesha trying to come over and cover for Seshelia. Nowhere near the ball on that occasion. Leaves his team with some defending to do from the resulting set piece. Haven't thrown too many numbers forward. 5 in the box to aim for Jason Romero, and it's the deepest option that he was searching for. Srajkovski couldn't quite reel it in. In fact, there was Kubele who'd made his way all the way up from his deep lying position. It's been key. And Bozanovsky have been the preferred option for Shevsky at the heart of Preston's defence, which has been pretty sharp. Either side of the break. Brooks swinging that one over the top, giving Sir Dennis something to run for. Sousa was keen to make sure it wasn't simple. Sir Dennis went to ground rather than looking to take his man on. The throw-in's gone Canberra, Croatia's way, just to rub salt into the wounds. So it's coming together between the two. Did have a hold of his shirt. Riley Sousa in sight of the penalty area. Not caught by Brody Merchant. Showing some wiliness beyond his years, the 18-year-old. He's put in a good display today. These are the Croatia fans. You can be trading words with the Preston fans. Trying to drive their team on to another result. Still only one win in this Australian Championship. Came last weekend against Spirit FC. Everyone's hoisting that one very high indeed. It's played into the remit of Bozanovsky. Be surprised if he's not the tallest man on the pitch today. Sloppy touch from Jadric. Almost created a goal towards the end of that first half for Shoki Yoshida. Foligno looking for the return. Seshelia alive to the danger. 21-year-old. His 50 games for Canberra, Croatia up last season. Played just the 5 games during the capital season. He's been thrust right into the heart of it here. Down at Jenner Steel Stadium. Canberra, Croatia have proved more than competitive opposition for all three teams in this group. Cast aside some of the pre-tournament predictions that they'd struggle in this group. Their records in national competition since the formation of the NPL wasn't too bright at all. Losses in a couple of Australia Cup ties, I should say. Getting that win over Preston a couple of weeks ago has provided them... Oh, how about that effort? With some additional confidence, I was going to say. He's not playing short of any at the moment, Giorgio Sedenis. Took the ball on his chest and thought, why not? Had the space, Gardner getting close to him. This man wasn't able to swing as fully as he would have liked. The contact wasn't too bad, just slightly misdirected. I feel this is a game that's going to need a moment similar to that to break this deadlock. Both teams have looked thoroughly disciplined defensively. Question might be in this final 30 minutes whether Preston can break down the well-set defence or whether Canberra, Croatia are going to find an opening on the counter. Colbertaldo into a wrestling match with Bozanovski. Preston centre-half stronger on that occasion. Trajkovski. Albano. To unpick again. Kubele showing us that range of passing. Sousa alive to the danger. Heads it right into the flags for the Preston boys, who'll have a few words of encouragement for their skipper. So he rolls over to take the throw. Looking to get the ball back off Lawton. Happy to take two with the throw. See the juniors lined up right next to the older Preston boys. I doubt a few of them have a future in that contingent. Negro. Again, it's all a little bit sideways. Backwards from Preston. Time on their side still at this stage in the second half. Just wonder how closely Luiashevsky is peering towards his bench at the moment. Albano dispossessed nicely by Secelia, who's continued his run forwards. Ball switched out to the other flank though. A little heavy on the pass from Piccolo. The response from the home fans tells the story. Romero. Foligno darting inside. His more favoured right foot. He's put a bit too much on it for his skipper. Negro not able to reel the ball in. 29-year-old is still got plenty of pace, but Ibrahim not able to retrieve that one. The wait goes on for a first goal of this game. Not the best clearance from Arans. He's got more purchase on most of the clearances we've seen from his own half today. So Canberra, Croatia playing into the wind in this second half. Jenna Steele Stadium surface looking fabulous again. Neither team quite able to make the best of it to this point. Jadric, probably the most space he's seen in the second half. See Luiashevsky in shot there, barking orders. He's not happy with what he's seeing in front of him. Vucetic for Shoki. Back for the Canberra, Croatia substitute. Sousa was trying something clever, having got forward from left full back. Now it's Canberra, Croatia's turn to reset with the football in their own half. Gardner. Enterprising pass, fell at the feet of Piccolo. Fire a touch from Kubele. Jadric. All developing pretty slowly, so Preston able to get back in their shape. Shoes provided that attacking option, but he stepped offside by the time the ball reached him, or it was played to him. A couple of times we've seen fullbacks getting themselves into offside positions just because attacking movements of this game have developed so slowly, as Ryan Scott nearly got himself in an awful lot of trouble. Max Green was right on the spot. And Scott just with enough wherewithal to play it around his outstretched leg. And this could develop nicely for Preston if they go. Kubele. Ball just holding up in that wind, which is blowing across Jenna Steele Stadium again. Taking a little bit of a bite out of those driven balls from their holding midfielder. Former Hume City player as well, Oli Kubele. Spent some time away in Turkey as Lawton goes to ground under no challenge, which is a worrying sign for Luashevsky as well. And now he is barking to a couple of substitutes down that near touchline, so I think it's safe to assume the first Preston substitutes of the afternoon are going to be joining us shortly. Foligno. For Albano. Running at Cecilia, but he's done well. Almost been the better of the two fullbacks that have gone up against Gian Albano this afternoon. Kotchenko brought off by an unfortunate injury towards the end of the first 45 minutes. Dino Grinic watchful. Second stint in charge of this Canberra, Croatia team. Double winners in 2020, champions under him in 2024 when he took over again in mid-season. Weren't able to capture that grand final this year. Did finish top of the table. Losing just 4 times over the 21-game campaign. Remarkable 82 goals scored. Foligno, deflection, and Arantz. Don't know if he was quite aware of just how wide that ball was tracking, but it was better safe than sorry. Dom Foligno made his way forward from left back, and Gardner's sliding block enough to take the ball wide. So a chance for the tall timber to get forward again. Bozanovsky, as the change comes. We mentioned Lawton might be finding his way off. He is now. Marcus Schroen, the 32-year-old, is thrust into the action with a quarter of the game to play. Ball's not too far from him either. Arantz punches and Brooks blazes over. Still able to create a fair share of trouble from those set-piece situations. Romero's delivery has been more consistent than it was a couple of weeks ago against Avondale. Always a threat with Matt Bozanovsky and Trakowski getting forward. Cry of Macedonia coming from the Jenna Steele Stadium crowd. Looking for their crescendo. On the back of a goal from the team they are cheering on. Bozanovsky. The game just slows to walking pace for a moment. Kubele. Mentioned his passing range has not quite been at the level we've come to expect from him today. It's a harmless example, but one nonetheless. Nice touch, Albano. He and Foligno starting to link up more and more down the left-hand side. Kubele. Again, there are very few gaps that this Canberra, Croatia well-set defence are giving up to the hosts. Another record that we should note is that Canberra, Croatia have not played out a draw over the entirety of their season. 4 losses in the league, came with 17 victories. The 1 win against Preston, alongside 3 losses so far in this Australian Championship campaign. Could be a first from that perspective. Preston have not lost at home since June in a defeat by Heidelberg. 7 games since then without defeat at Genis Steel Stadium. Supporters have known success almost exclusively on this ground over the course of the 2025 season, which is making today's performance all the more frustrating for them. Green bursting into the clear. Foligno's still full of running. Crossing cover. Green into a dangerous area. Kolbertalde without a heap of support inside him, so returns the ball to Green's feet. Asks him to deliver. A corner will do just nicely for the visitors. Just having a look at some of the other substitute options that Louis has available to him. Connor Bell and Jonas Markowski both been attacking stars for them over the course of the season. Defending to do first, though, as Piccolo tries to weave his way through. Green took a swing, able to be blocked away. Or could Jason Romero stand up as the star again? He's got support left and right. Might look to go all himself, and left Brooks with far too much to do. Once he had broken into the promising attacking area, the American. So he's American, Jason Romero, of course his country of heritage, but he's no longer even acknowledged as a visa player. Bardo, can he get inside his man? Gabesha, error in touch, just allowed the Canberra, Croatia skipper to get across in the nick of time. It's all building towards a grandstand finish. It's been a response from both sets of supporters. Status quo holding between the 22 players for the moment, though. Schroen. Trakowski. It's he erring as he played out of his own half. Albano's managed to bail him out. And that's a good ball for Brooks, who held his run. Only a couple to aim for. Beat both of them initially. Negro trying to sweep up. But Shoki Yoshida launches it behind. This was such a promising break for Preston. They've not had too many moments like this over the course of the afternoon. Romero just picking the wrong option of the 2 or 3 available to him. Can he pick out one of the tall centre halves in there? This one's swinging towards Bozanovski, holding up in the wind, nodded forward to Dennis, trying to get creative, and Bozanovski not able to sting the palms of Arance once again. Probably not the man they wanted that opportunity to fall for. Well, is Din Ugranic going for the kill? That is Nick Pratesina, you can see in shots, top scorer in capital football this season, along with Lukman Ahmed Shaibu. Scorer of 8 goals across that competition for Tigers FC. And also Marko Jadric. Ilya Nikola, one of 3 sets of brothers that Din Ugranic has in his 23-man squad. So Michael Piccolo is off, Shoki Yoshida. Back screen is still out there for the moment. More attacking look in these closing stages for Canberra, Croatia. They know or win. It's probably the only realistic route to qualification for the quarterfinals. A point keeps them in with a sniff, but it will take results elsewhere going their way, including an Avondale win this afternoon against Spirit FC. A win to Spirit after a draw here would leave them right on the brink. They would still be able to catch. Spirit with a win by multiple goals over the next weekend. They'll also need Preston to fall to Avondale. If everything falls as it is and we don't find the breakthrough today. Still only had one 0-0 draw in this Australian Championship, and that was that game here a couple of weeks ago on Friday night between Avondale and Preston. Sloppy from Trakowski, and it's allowed Canberra, Croatia a route out. Proteshina with fresh legs off the bench. Yet to hit the score sheet in this championship, and was looking to be unselfish by finding Colbertaldo. Another loose pass from Romero. It's a star last weekend rather, but hasn't quite been able to provide the same influence today. Ahmed Shaibu with his first look at the football since coming on. First time he's been utilised off the bench by Ugrinic since his return to the side. Started all but one of Canberra, Croatia's games to this point in the Australian Championship. There's another change, and this time it's going to come from the Preston side. We mentioned Jonas Markowski and Connor Bell. They're going to come on in tandem here. Gian Albano, full of so much good work today, the 29-year-old, but not able to find the breakthrough. Disappointing afternoon for Jason Romero. Sheshalia interchanging passes with Ahmed Shaibu. Using his strength to hold off Kubalay. So Bell gets stuck in as well for his first touch. Wanted a free kick, it wasn't forthcoming from referee Merchant. Kubalay going down under the challenge from Colbertaldo, who just threw an arm out. It will be a Preston free kick. 14 minutes remaining. Thrown wanted to go quickly, but it's his own teammate the referee was checking in on. You can see the frustration starting to build amongst the Preston players. Time is quickly running out. The defence has held up its end of the bargain again today, but it's been the search for goals that has been the problem for Louis Ashevsky over the course of the season. Could Bell change things? Gerbesha getting back in cover again, and he's in disbelief that the decision's gone against him. But that leads to another rise from the Preston fans. I've been waiting with bated breath for almost 2 hours. Are they about to see their reward? So Dennis in around Arans. Bell taking up a position at the edge of the area. The ball goes direct. Arans flapping. He managed to get enough of a touch. Markowski happy to settle for another corner. Just did enough, the Canberra, Croatia goalkeeper, to take that off the head of the flying Bozanovski. With Romero off, it's now Kubalay who's firing in these deliveries. It's been a persistent raid on the Canberra, Croatia net, but it's yet to bear fruit for the hosts. Kubalay floats it high into the wind. Brooks Tejina with a good block. And eventually away by Green. Do Canberra, Croatia have numbers here? Tejina, or Vucetic rather, with Green in support. They almost ran into one another. And Foligno was able to get back in time. Scott high rather than clear of his goal. Thrown, using all those years of experience just to find the smallest of gaps and release Preston into a more dangerous area. Markovski, again it's almost been the natural decision for the Preston midfielders to turn back rather than going forward with any real impetus over the course of this game. They're hoping it's not going to cost them down the track. Big trip to Avondale coming if they can't find the win here next weekend. Brooks, one-on-one with Cecilia, and this time he's got the better of him, at least far enough to win a 9th corner of this game for Preston. Brooks is almost spent. Really was around the periphery of this game for its opening stages, since moving centrally at half-time. Preston have been looking for him to provide the inspiration. Again, Aran's climbing over the top, this time of Sedenis. And the state of his jersey tells you how hard he's had to work at different stages of the afternoon. It will be a very precious clean sheet indeed, particularly if Ahmed Shaibu can escape the clutches of the Preston defence. He couldn't quite. Schroen opening up the pitch. Kubele. Got a few more long passes in that right boot. Not this time. Not enough options for him downfield. Trajkovski with a nice switch for Negro. So Dennis can't get on the end of the long ball. And Canberra, Croatia will just rest for a moment. It has been a brutal battle for them in their defensive half in the closing stages of the second 45 minutes. Arantz is just going to give his side a little bit more of a breather. So the results of that poll haven't changed far over the course of this second half. Could prove everyone's wrong though. And in a draw, remarkably, it would be a third of this competition for Preston in their 5 games. Some pickle juice by the looks of things being taken on by Craig Cullen. This is a little bit of a worry for Canberra, Croatia. Much rather have a fully fit Arantz in goal for the final 10 minutes or so. Jason Matesha is a replacement goalkeeper, 26-year-old if he is needed. Just a little coming together again between he and Matt Bozanovsky. He's been not on his toe. In fact, it was Sir Dennis that time, as I told you initially. He and Bozanovsky have been in closest attendance to the 20-year-old who has had a fine afternoon. Ahmed Shaibu strong enough to see off the attention of Trajkovski initially. These two absolute mountains of men. Preston boast in their back line. Hard to get past for even the strongest of attackers, as Ahmed Shaibu showed us there. Seeing a bit more of the fancy footwork of Leighton Brooks that we've come to know him for. And a nice relief for Markovski. Can he return the favour over the head of Brooks? Can Foligno make something of it? Into the area and then back out. Shepherded away by Cecilia. And then a really poor ball from Kubele by his standards. Even on his less favoured left foot. So many promising moments like this in the second half for Preston that they've not been able to take advantage of. And even the fresh legs of Markovski not quite able to pick out Brooks, who would have had a free header from about 8 yards. Green, who missed last week, attending a wedding. Ugrinic was very happy to have him back in the team this week. That's provided a little bit, probably more in terms of his output at the start of the first half. Preston have been pretty dominant since the half-hour mark. Sliding to try and make a challenge of that with Bozanovski. And managed to play past him and find Bell on the left, who's having a go at Sesselia this time. And that's a better ball. Markovski's touch letting him down at the vital moment. Only the keeper to beat from 6 yards, but he couldn't bring it under his spell. Kubalay fires into Parayk Cullen. The pressure starting to ramp up another notch on Canberra, Croatia's sturdy defence. Not what they were known for during the capital football season. There has been some sort of leadership across their back line today. They don't want to give it up yet. Nodded towards goal and away again by Sesselia. A 12th quarter of the game by my count for Preston. See Norm Sikolovsky amongst the supporters right behind that goal. No doubt to who he's cheering on. Another floated ball. Arantz again judges best with some help from Gerbesha just to make sure the Preston players didn't get a proper run at the football. Could Canberra, Croatia provide a real sucker punch in the closing moments and find a winner themselves? Nikola Jadric. Wider for Marko, and Platejina couldn't make his way to that ball ahead of Bozanovski. Nothing wrong with Preston's defence in this second half. Haven't had an awful lot of defending to do, it must be said. Ryan Scott has seen a lot less of the pressure down his end of the pitch than he did in the first half. Brooks trying to do it all himself in different moments here. Schroen. The crowd rises as Markovski makes his way forward. Oh, and it was an awkward little block from Gerbesha. Fortunately for the Canberra, Croatia skipper, it goes right into his goalkeeper's gloves. And then Foligno with a bit of a soft give away the free kick. Green keen to keep the ball in play. Takes the return off Corbataldo. And Bozanovski there ahead of Ahmed Shaibu. In his second stint with Canberra, Croatia, he was part of silverware winning teams in the early stages of the 2020s. For a short stint with Sutherland. He's on the ball here. Corbataldo. Got a 90th minute winner against Gungahlin back in June. He potentially be the hero at the end of the day. Gerbesha firm in his win. Schroen. Bell. Schroen going the big switch this time. Negro onto it. Brooks in support. Away from Pratejina. Nice little return between those two. Brooks' delivery just lacking again, though. Negro might get a second bite of the cherry. Just no one in the vacant midfield area, so Bozanovski has to launch it into the box. Arantz came a long way and then spilled the football initially, but beat Sir Dennis to the rebound. There's a few words for some of the Preston players on rushing as well. It's been a thoroughly watchable game for one that hasn't produced a goal to this point. Corbataldo's down, particularly in these closing stages. Green, you still feel it might have a winner. See the picture-in-picture as Arantz dived at the feet of Sir Dennis. It's a live action where Markovski's on the ball, flipping out to the left-hand side. Cecilia happy to give away the free kick this time just to slow some Preston momentum. Wojtkowski, another one of these Preston players with a touch of A-League experience, 16 games for the Brisbane Roar in the 23-24 season. 6 goals in 23 appearances this year. Can he get there again? Fired too close to Arantz. He's copped it. I'm not sure if Sid Ennis actually got a touch on him that time, but he's certainly close in attendance. Anywhere will do now for Canberra, Croatia. Again, Arantz's clearance didn't have the most distance on it. Thrown. Foligno for Bell. Looking for the 1-2. Corner Bell, the Englishman. Only able to prevent the ball from going behind for a goal kick. Will allow Preston to set up their press. A little bit of a cloud of smoke from flare that's been set off down there. Kubelay's got the better of Green. Brooks. Blocked again by Parite Cullen, who's had a mammoth afternoon. Switched into the centre of defence, and he's been fantastic. Well, Preston's hopes of a win here going up in flames. Negro, Parite Cullen there again. Vucetic did enough to keep it from going behind for a corner. 3 more minutes to find a winner. Kubalay on that less favoured left foot. Everyone just waited for the ball to drop. Eventually found Markovski. Clever clearance from Corbataldo. Oh, and then a very loose challenge indeed from Foligno, which is just going to allow Nikola Jagric to eat a bit more time off the clock. Foligno has done so much good in this second half. Didn't judge this as he quite wanted to. Don't think there's any malice in it, but player there in front of the ball. Croatia fans are the ones full of voice. Feel this draw might just be a small victory for them. Certainly keeps them alive in this Australian Championship, going all the way to the final day in that clash with Spirit at Deakin Stadium next weekend. 4:30 kickoff on Sunday versus the 1 p.m. on Saturday for Avondale versus Preston. Means they'll know if they are indeed still alive. And chasing second spot, diving into the feet was Platezina, and then Stefan Negro getting involved rather needlessly, which is going to leave it all up in arms to end the day. Stefan Negro very much the subject of Canberra, Croatia's eye at. Godbesha trying to pull the players away from one another. It's easier said than done when Jake Trajkovski gets in there in this game that has had such a physical undertone. Has finally exploded in the closing stages. It's not going to particularly help either team, though. Croatia fans enjoying it all, as they might. Whether this will lead to any more added time in the closing stages is another question. Preston have got the free kick amongst all of that, and Stefan Negro sees a yellow card, which I don't think he's too worried about. His second of this championship, so we'll have to be careful next week. A third would see him suspended from any potential quarter-final. Corbataldo, I think, has had his name added to the book as well. It's all happening. Apart from the ball being hoisted back into play. Brodie Merchant just waiting for it all to settle. before he blows his whistle. Can Preston claim the latest of winners? Hoisted high, Gerbesha leading the charge defensively. And Ahmed Shaibu away. Oh, the clearance wasn't exactly finishing how he wanted to. Markovski wriggling his way out of trouble. Sharon's ball. And Arantz palms it away from Brooks. Negro keeps the attack alive. And there's the header just wide from Markovski. That was the moment for Preston. And Markovski did so well to leap above Gerbesha, couldn't steer his effort on target. Beautifully stood up by Negro, who kept it all alive. And just perhaps meeting the ball as he came back down to ground rather than on his way up, which took away the power and the ability to direct it properly. What an atmosphere we've had this afternoon. It has had you on the edge of your seat, and it still might not be over. Brooks, gorgeous touch. Face to face with Jadric, who did brilliantly. And then flipping over under the second ball was Brooks. Play allowed to continue though. Kubele, can he finally unpick them? Negro off his shin rather than his instep. And Canberra, Croatia must be thinking that's that. They have absorbed so much pressure in this second half. And this might be the defining moment of the match. Coming in the 94th minute. Brilliant climb from Markovski. Unfortunately, the header not quite as impressive. Max Green, who's got through a lot of legwork today, he's not quite had the glorious moments he had back in round two. Might be the end of his afternoon. I'm not sure if Dino Grinic has got a replacement for him. There's someone stripping off down there, trying to get ready. It's Niki Subasic. He's the only substitute in terms of an outfield player left to come on. So Subasic is going to make his way on, and one last substitution for Louis Ashevsky, as well as Christian Mladenis makes his way on. Subasic will go right into the heart of defence. Canberra, Croatia not too worried about trying to find a winner of their own anymore. Well past the allotted 3 minutes that were set to be added on at the end of the second half. Finally, the whistle comes. Stoppage of well over a minute and a half before that goal kick was hoisted forwards. Bozanovski flicked on. Surely not. Mladenis, his first touch as the latest of substitutes. Blocked away initially. Kubele again. Foligno. There's a line of red bodies waiting for the cross, but it was too deep for Negro. And Brodie Merchant brings a quite watchable afternoon's entertainment to a close. Disappointing for Preston, given just how hard they pushed in the second half. Not able to find a breakthrough, largely thanks to some goalkeeping heroics from Sebastian Arantz, who had his work cut out and kept his first clean sheet of the championship for Canberra, Croatia. Just the second 0-0 draw of this championship. Both have involved the Preston Lions. And Croatia record their first draw all season to take a point and leave themselves in with a chance of winning through to the quarterfinals next weekend at home against Spirit. But the final score here from Genis Still Stadium is Preston Lions 0, Canberra, Croatia 0. And let's have a look at some of the highlights on what was a thoroughly entertaining second half that had everything but a goal. The first effort was quite spectacular from Giorgio Sedenis. We got through a lot of legwork as well. Ryan Scott almost allowed Max Green in for his third goal of the competition against Preston. Wasn't quite to be. And then this was the story of the final quarter of the game. Sebastian Arantz just punching away Preston Lions crosses from corners. The one time they did manage to break in transition, Jason Romero couldn't sum things up to find Leighton Brooks, who moved centrally and had growing influence in the second half. Croatia's chance to get forward in transition as Kriščić and Green got their wires crossed somewhat. But then Brooks really came into the game late. He's just spraying balls forward. Jonas Markowski, after coming on, got in these promising areas, but not able to find the killer ball. Connor Bell as well, influential off the bench. That was the moment for Markowski. He had a couple of those. That first touch and then the header late on, which we'll see in just a moment, from Stefan Nigro's terrific stand-up cross. And you can see the Preston Lions fans knew at that point it wasn't going to be their day to take all 3 points. Yellow cards, physicality, a fantastic atmosphere around BT Connor in Melbourne's north, but not a winner at the end of the day. And so you can see the travelling supports showing their appreciation. What was a very game performance from Canberra, Croatia, away from home as well. Unlucky not to take the lead in the first half, and then did very, very well indeed to hold on to things in the second half. That corner stat tells the story of the second half more than any other. Preston mustering just the one shot on target across the 90 minutes, despite dominating possession and territory, particularly over the second 45 minutes. That will disappoint Lukaschewski, but it still leaves them in position to qualify next weekend. They sit second ahead of Avondale's clash with Spirit FC. Is Sebastian Arantz, who I think will take home the Player of the Game awards this afternoon for a fantastic performance. His first clean sheet of the Australian Championship. A lot of this good work done in the first half, not least from Albano's late effort towards the end of the opening period. In the second half, it was a barrage of crosses, all of which he dealt with. Bozanovski on the spot there. Managed to undercut Giorgio Sedenis there as well, late on. But he wasn't beaten. And so the laundry lady at Canberra, Croatia is going to have a job when he returns home, but it was well earned. There's the other results from today. Marconi getting a crucial win down at Darcy Street against South Hobart, and that means they move top of Group B after Heidelberg were held to a 2-2 draw with Wollongong Wolves. It does mean that both progress through to the quarterfinals of the Australian Championship. Those two games coming your way later on as well. 4:30 kickoffs for Avondale against Spirit FC and Metro Stars against Bayswater City. And Canberra, Croatia players taking the love from their supporters, a lot of them based down here in Melbourne, but as we saw when they were up in Sydney as well. Sydney United supporters getting out there, Dandenong City, Melbourne Knights contingent amongst those who made very good noise and provided a tremendous atmosphere along with the Preston boys this afternoon. It's been a pleasure to bring you all the action from round 5 of the Australian Championship from Genesis Steel Stadium. Sorry we couldn't bring you a goal, but there was plenty of action across the 90 minutes. And it leaves it all to play for in Group C on the final match day of the Australian Championship next weekend. But for all the team here at Double Take and SBS Sports, it's goodbye. Preston Lions 0, Canberra, Croatia 0.